Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Iron Bark Podcast, and I am your host, Epion. Today, we are going to talk about some interesting things. They're quite interesting indeed. They're some of the most interesting things you'll ever hear in your life. That's right here on this very podcast. Let's get into it here. All right. Scientists find a 35,000-year-old saber-toothed kitten in the Siberian permafrost. There's even fucking pictures of it, and it looks cute as a fucking button, even though it's not alive. But still, that's like you would fucking want to pet it. So this ancient cat was previously found perfectly preserved in Siberia's permafrost. Researchers found that the mummy was, already said 35,000 years old. But you know what? They think it's probably only 15,000 years ago that they found it. The preservation method provided a unique opportunity for researchers to study the extinct animal. For the first time in history of paleontology, the appearance of an extinct mammal that has no analogs to modern fauna has been studied. So it's kind of cool. Like, you're looking at it, it's like definitely a completely different animal. It's very similar to the big cats, but it's a little different. So this happened at the end of the Pleistocene. These animals went extinct 12,000 years ago, which was the end of the Pleistocene period, or the last ice age. I still think we're kind of coming out of the last ice age. I think the ice age won't be completely gone until every glacier is melted. Because glaciers don't really seem like... Glaciers are like giants. Where at one point they took over the entirety of North America pretty much. And then eventually they receded all the way into little pockets. Now, are they supposed to exist at all? I don't know. Probably not. I imagine they're not supposed to. That's what it seems like, at least. But I digress. So they have like examinations of its paw prints. They're slightly similar to modern lions, but they differentiate in a way where they don't have like those little ankle toe beans, and they have like a wider paw. So that seems to indicate that they were supposed to be walking on snow, or they would have had an advantage walking on snow. This was published in a paper recently, Live Science. I think it was Live Science. Is that a paper? I think that was the paper. Anyway, it's completely mummified. It's interesting to see another animal like that. What else do we have to talk about today? We have, let's see here. I got to go through my notes. So we have a story about two dogs were just sent to a remote island or archipelago on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is in Scotland. It's in the Orkney Islands. What do they do here? So a Springer Spaniel and the Black Labrador are part of a team that is successfully removing stoats. If you don't know what stoats are, they're basically like little cute weasels from the islands as part of a project to help its wildlife. So basically you have these weasels and they're just completely destroying the bird life on that. So you have like a lot of birds that lay eggs on these islands, because these islands are known not to have any predators. There's no snakes, no nothing. So birds like to go there and they're like, oh, we can lay our eggs here. We don't have to worry about anything eating our eggs. Humans probably somehow brought these fucking weasels here, and all they have to eat is fucking bird eggs. So all these fucking stoats do is eat eggs. So this is an interesting solution to a problem. Some people would be on the side of environmentalism or conservation. I would say, no, the stoats are there. They shouldn't have been brought in there, but they're there now. So now they're part of the ecosystem. Leave them alone. Let it figure itself out. Other people will be like, this is a human error. It should have never happened. We have to protect the seabirds. These birds could go extinct. Maybe they're an endangered species, etc., 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 etc. Some people would propose a solution as, okay, let's poison all the stoats. Let's use pesticides, whatever. Now, everyone knows that dead stoats would probably be eaten by some of the birds, and then they would ingest the poisons, and then they would probably die. So it's not a good idea. It's not an environmentally sound or safe idea to ever use pesticides or poison. So when you're thinking of a clever idea on how to get rid of them, a lot of people always go to, oh, let's introduce a new predator that will eat them and not the birds, and so on and so forth. Anyway, this seems like an okay solution to a problem they got hunting dogs, basically, where they'll track them down and destroy them, or maybe their owners will assist them in destroying them by doing something to like their caves or their little tunnels. It seems a little cruel, but it's also, I don't know, it seems like an environmentally sound and friendly solution. So there's that. You can take that away from that. I know not everybody's going to agree, and the stoats are very cute. So it's one of those catch-22 situations. Now, here's another thing that I've been hearing in the news recently. So I took a deep dive into it because it sounded cool and it sounded fascinating, and I really wanted it to be kind of like a true story. So a lot of these oarfish have been showing up on the beaches and the shorelines of California. And if you don't know what an oarfish is, it's like a giant, it looks like a giant massive eel. It's like a really long fish, and it's one of those deep sea ugly looking motherfuckers. So those deep sea creatures are always terrifying looking, and you don't ever really see them come up to the shorelines and up to the, the upper part of the ocean. But so they're saying the thing they're saying about is that folklore from Japan suggests this is a bad omen or sign of a massive earthquake. Now, when I dug into this, I couldn't actually find what Japanese folklore it is. They just keep saying, oh, Japanese folklore. And I think there's like one myth or something close to it where it says like sea creatures will arise, but it doesn't specify specifically if it's coming from the ocean that it's oarfish. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, they're just kind of trying to use oarfish, but apparently oarfish might also be referred to as like the dragon's messenger, and that kind of makes sense. They look like they would be a messenger for a dragon. They're like a pseudo dragon spawn type of looking creature. So we'll see if something bad happens. Maybe the omens are true, but they say there's no data to really correlate the influx or signs of oarfish, and I think it's much more related to El Nino switching and stuff like that, which I think that is happening around this time of year. So that's probably more or less the actual explanation for it, is that some of them have trouble adapting to these like changes in ocean currents. So what else do we have here? Well, I didn't remember clicking on that article. That came out of nowhere. Let's see this one. Scientists have confirmed what's inside of the moon. They've done it. They've established what it is. It's been a very hard journey. It's been a long journey into discovering. But the Space Force, which I created, has finally discovered what is in the center of the moon. It's a beautiful moon. You can ask anybody who knows. And believe me, I know a lot of astronauts. Buzz Aldrin himself, he shook my hand. He said, Mr. President, I would love to serve you again. It's just, I'm too old. Let's see. None of that is true. I just made that up in my head. But they do. The article does say that they think they know what's in the center of the moon. They think it's solid iron. You know what? I feel like from time to time, every 10 years, they got a different idea of what the center of the Earth is, what they're pretty confident it is. And then to say they know that about the moon, okay, maybe that's the best science they have right now, best evidence, but I digress because we don't really know unless you go and look at it, right? I mean, you can use all these measurements and all this stuff and can math it out and be like, oh, it seems to be the same consistency and density as iron would be, so it must, unless it's something completely fucking new you never even imagined or heard of. But anyway, I digress. I digresse. I Neil deGrasse Tyson. Apparently the west coast of Canada, you know, that Vancouver Island, those fake islanders, those islandors, on the coast of BC there, they got hit with a weather bomb. And what's a weather bomb, you say? Well, it's a low pressure system that rapidly becomes high pressure system, and it just booyah hits you with that wind, son. That's all it is. If you've been hearing weather bomb around, that's pretty much what it is. Usually high pressure systems are the big storms because they're like pushing all that pressure down on the earth, and then that's when the rain comes down, and the low pressure ones you don't really got to worry all that much about, but when they accelerate quickly, that's when they get associated with the higher winds. On the high, come on, meet me on the high ground. What else do we got here? Oh, this is pretty interesting. 60,000-year-old glue-making oven found in Netherlands seaside cave. So this is kind of interesting. I'll read a bit of this article here. At a well-known hangout of Neanderthals, archaeologists have uncovered a structure they believe was used to cook up a form of prehistoric glue. The discovery was made at Vanguard Cave, part of Gorham's Cave complex in the British overseas territory of Gibraltar, located on the seafront overlooking the western Mediterranean. The caverns are thought to be one of the last known habitations of the Neanderthals in Europe before they drifted into extinction. In a layer of sediment dated around 67,000 to 60,000 years old, the researchers uncovered a hearth structure that they say was clearly built by human hands, or in this case, Neanderthal hands. With further work, they found evidence that the hearth was used to create birch tar, a gloopy substance that was used in prehistoric humans to attach a handle to a tool or weapon, known as hafting in the weaponsmith business. Firstly, the structure was circular, featuring 2 channels and a thick wall lining, suggesting a more complex construction than a typical cooking fire pit. Secondly, the hearth was dotted with chemical traces and it suggested the combustion of a resinous plant material. This includes charred wood and a microscopic ash fragments, as well as plant compounds that are often associated with the production of tar from birch bark and similar plants. And then they have like a little diagram here. It's pretty neat. Kind of looks like it would be it. It's a good kind of guesstimation. So yeah, the Neanderthals, bunch of smartasses. You thought they were a bunch of knuckle dragging, doofuses, and it turns out, these guys were making fucking weapons back when before this little kitten from the saber-toothed species there went deceased. It's interesting to think that these guys lived alongside animals that no longer exist. I guess they don't exist anymore, but we have some people on Earth have trace amounts of Neanderthal DNA. So they live on through us. That they do. I think that's all the articles I got for y'all, folks. Now I'm just going to head over to the X platform side of things, as my chair needs some WD-40, apparently. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Let's see what we got on the Creators Hub. So for this Wildlife Wednesday, this might be a repost for some of my long-term followers, but I love this video and I don't think I had it on X. So what we have here is an elk bugling, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I put up a live stream tonight. I was playing video games. I don't know. I wanted to see how that went. I went snowboarding yesterday. Yes, it was quite good. It was quite kind of fun. At the peak of the mountains, I was actually between a cloud, and then there's the higher clouds above me. So it's kind of cool. It's I'm sandwiched in between them. Between the clouds is a cool little dimension. I like it. Took some photos, put them up on X. On the 22nd, I put a picture from when I went hiking. I was at Mirror Lake. Dragons were all the fucking rage this week. Dragons were all the rage. They were the biggest deal. They were bigly the biggest deal. So I had this post. I said, it was a repost from what I posted on Rogan's thing, because I got quite a bit of love on there. It got some likes and stuff like that. Let's see how many likes it got. 103. Not too bad, not too shabby patty. And I said, I know it might sound crazy, but hear me out. Dragons were real. And then in brackets, possibly with an asterisk. So basically, the image goes that I stole from the internet says Middle Ages bullshit. And it's a picture of a dragon with all kinds of weird wings and this and that. I think it's in the 1850s, you get more of a lizard looking dinosaur. Then in the 1920s, you get a more upright looking dinosaur, and then you get 1970s, it's kind of even more articulated dinosaur, and then you get to now and it's oh yeah, dinosaurs have feathers, and it looks kind of vaguely similar to the Middle Age bullshit thing. And they go into this big diatribe, and they get into this big conversation about if dragons could be real, if there was a way to possibly do it, does the biology kind of exist in potential? And it's yeah, it kind of does. They're basically just dinosaurs. When did dinosaurs completely die out? And then they bring up all kinds of things, like maybe they were like birds where their bones are porous, so we never really find bird remains. We do, but we don't really. And this all stemmed from an interview with Forrest Galante and Joe Rogan a long time ago, where they're kind of like wishful believing, or trying to think of a way where they could be kind of, maybe, hopefully, sorta. And Forrest is the man. He follows me on X. He seems like a pretty cool dude. He seems like he's kind of distanced himself from the platform, but when he was on here, he was a fucking gent. He's a gentleman and a scholar. What do we have here? Then on the 21st, I showed a little picture of the sun beaming out from a storm cloud. So I took this picture when I was on a hike, and during this hike, I was on a ridge walk across the peaks, and then a hailstorm rolled in and a lightning storm, and I was fucking scared. And then I had to get back down the mountain before I ran out of sunlight, and I was really pushing the limits, and I was running through a forest, basically at dark, between the parking lot and like the start of the trail, and it was sketchy. But I made it safe. And I remember after that hike, I was so tired. I was so hungry. I was eating the hailstones. I was so thirsty. I didn't bring enough water and stuff. I'm a fucking idiot. Then I posted a picture of walking in Wonderland, and it's just like, some mountains in the background, a little dusting of snow on the trees, and it always looks beautiful when they have like that frost and that little bit of snow on them. It's beautiful, easy shot. Then I reposted an old picture. It's a beautiful picture. It's a common area to take a picture in this. If you like Google search this image, you'll probably get a ton of it. But it's such an awesome shot. It's an awesome shot. It's by Lake Abraham. The road's just winding. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, sweetheart. Give that one a little gander. That was taken on that was posted on the 18th. And then that brings me back to last week's podcast. And that's all. That is y'all, folks. That's a little Potter for y'all. A little Potter. A little pitter patter, bud, don't you know? All right, folks. I just want to finish by saying thank you for supporting me. Thank you for the love. Thank you for every comment, every reply, every share, every quote post, every repost. Thank you. Thank you for following. Thank you for like all that stuff. Like it's just beautiful. The fact that even one person listens to this, even if I'm making it just for them, they're giving me a little bit of their time. I hope you get something out of it. I hope you're not just doing it because you want to support me. I hope you're doing it because you enjoy it. You truly enjoy it, and it keeps you company while you're on a commute or while you're on a drive or something like that. So I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for, like, I have followers. Like, people like, they don't even have to, but they do. It's beautiful. Thank you all. I'll keep making content as long as there's just one person listening. That's episode 65, I think, in the bag. We're getting closer and closer to that 100. We're getting closer and closer. We're closing in. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.